Hey everyone, I'm gonna be reviewing the latest video of Paul Saladino, Why I Overdose Creatine. Little does he know that he actually doesn't. I'll explain to you what I mean. And just to be clear, I have nothing against Paul Saladino. How could I? I don't even know the guy. But as far as what he promotes, if most people would eat the way he eats, we would have a much healthier population. It's not ideal. He still promotes a lot of garbage, but he talks against seed oils, vegetables, all of which I talked about years before he ever did. In comparison to me, of course, he's very new to this. You cannot blame him. Maybe he will still learn the truth about supplements eventually. We'll see.
What if I told you there was a simple amino acid derived compound that was very inexpensive, extremely safe?
And this is the first red flag. Why is it inexpensive? You could, of course, think, oh, it's good for me. I will buy more of it then because it's cheap. Shouldn't you logically think that it should be more expensive if it's so good for you? It's this secret magical substance that you can buy. Logically, that's the conclusion you should come to. And the reason it is cheap is because it's not creatine, obviously, and it's actually a waste product.
That could totally enhance your performance in the gym. That could improve muscle strength, recovery, explosivity.
Here's the thing, as far as actual observations go, does this creatine, and this is not creatine what he's selling, actually help you with strength or whatever you want to believe? It's very inconclusive. There are people, and it's also been reported in some studies, who say that the mass somewhat increases. Could it be a placebo? Do they change something else? Do they work out more now? Do they simply have the motivation? Who knows? Maybe. Maybe it also simply increases the water in the muscles, because if you're being damaged, whether it's an actual literal injury or if it's you taking in something poisonous, it is very common for your body to retain more water when damage happens. It's possible that, seeing as this is not creatine, and I'll explain to you what it really is, that your body actually simply makes you look slightly bigger. Again, it's very inconclusive anyway. Nobody can obviously actually prove that you get any benefits from it. We really only have observations of toxicity overall from this creatine supplement.
In the gym with a small dose every day, and it could also potentially improve your sleep, your mental performance, your memory.
What people mean by mental performance is you being more alert. The same way coffee makes you more alert because of how toxic it is. Don't think that your brain is actually going to function better.
And even your bone density. It's not steroids, it's creatine. Everybody's been talking about creatine recently. So in this video, I'm going to break it down for you.
Well, you won't, because you wouldn't know how to. Let me explain it to you. Creatine, that's 99% essentially supplements, and it's a billion-dollar business, come from petroleum and other substances which would be toxic for humans to ingest. Now you're of course wondering, wait, how can that be creatine? How can there be this amino acid in petroleum or these other substances? You would think that it's impossible, and you're right. It's impossible because it's not actually creatine. Look up HPLC and look up chromatography in general. When you look at the techniques and the devices that these people use, then you will realize that it's impossible to actually say that you get creatine out of whatever it may be. As I said, pretty much 99% of the time, it comes from something toxic anyway. But even if it would be beef or whatever meat that you would get this creatine out of, it would still be toxic to you. Let's first listen to more of what he has to say, and then I'll explain it to you in more detail.
I'm going to tell you about dosing, what dose you should be taking of creatine. It's probably more than...
Okay, I have to stop again because what you need to look up is the LD50 value of creatine and lots of other substances which you may be taking, especially if you take supplements, then you will realize that the lethal dose, that's what it stands for. What they do is they measure if 50% of the participants of the study, which are usually rats, die from something, then it's lethal. And you can also, of course, then say that it's lethal to humans. That's why they use rats. They obviously cannot and wouldn't be doing it on humans. And then they can see which substance is actually gonna kill you. And when it comes to creatine, it would be around 1 kilogram that a human being of his size would have to take to die from it. Now you're gonna say, oh, but nobody would take a kilogram of creatine, which it isn't actually. Yeah, what does it matter? If something is toxic, then it's toxic anyway, no matter what the dose is. The dose never makes the poison. If a substance is toxic, it's toxic in general. If you take a little bit of it, you may feel dizzy, have a headache, be more alert, which is the case here because it is toxic. Or if you take more, then you die. There's no LD50 value for meat, liver, no organs, fruits, because you cannot overdose on something that's not toxic. If you have an LD50 value of something, it's toxic, poisonous in general. This creatine supplement has an LD50 value. Vitamin D also does. It's much easier to die from vitamin D. Salt also has, as I have explained in a different video. You can very easily die from salt. The vitamin D supplement is also toxic and fake, by the way. It's not actual vitamin D, as I have explained 10 years ago already. It comes from irradiated vegetable oils for the most part. And even if it doesn't, it's still toxic, which I will explain to you. I just wanted to stop here because the dosing is irrelevant. You're taking in something toxic.
You think? I'm going to talk to you about safety. Does it cause hair loss? Is it bad for your kidneys? Will it cause your heart to explode? I'm going to talk to you about where you can find it in food versus supplementation. I'm going to talk to you about absorption, when to take creatine.
The thing about it is that you cannot actually find it in food because you cannot observe creatine. Creatine is not even really a hypothesis. You cannot even call it that. Creatine is a belief. That doesn't mean that there is no such thing. Obviously, when you look at plants and when you eat them, and when you taste them, and when you eat meat, you taste way different nutrients or whatever these substances, call them whatever you want. But if you get to the actual technicality of it, you cannot actually observe something such as creatine, meaning that you also cannot actually extract creatine from meat or whatever it is. The way it works is that you have a petroleum or whatever they may use, then you use the HPLC method or whatever kind of method, and then you can observe these peaks or see how long the substance has to travel through this device, and that's how you now believe that you have creatine. And if they use meat or petroleum or whatever else, they can say, oh, it goes through this device for the same amount of time, and that's why this is also creatine. Or similar with DNA, they measure the electronic peaks, the signals, and they say, oh, they have a similar DNA. That's a different topic. But it's a sort of similar technique in the sense that it's inconclusive. You cannot know what it actually is. This is a very deep topic. I would really recommend looking into it yourself. I think that I explained to you the basics. The bottom line is, Paul has no idea what he's selling you, and most of the people who sell you supplements have no idea what they are selling you.
I'm going to break down some of the best sources of creatine in your food. I'm going to talk to you about creatine monohydrate versus creatine HCl, who should take which when, and at the end of this video, you're going to learn a ton about a very simple, easily available, cheap compound that you should definitely be taking more of. Let's get into it. First things first, what is creatine?
I think that the biggest problem that we have with this video is that Paul looks pretty bad for his age. He stresses a lot. He goes into salt water a lot. I've already talked about this. It's just that health advice should come from somebody healthy. I'm not saying that he's unhealthy as such. He's just obviously not optimally healthy. I'm sure that he understands that. Then again, why does he stress so incredibly much? Look at the insane wrinkles and what he's doing right there. Just stressing himself over the top for no reason. Yeah.
Creatine is an organic acid. It's a nitrogenous organic acid. It is derived from primarily 3 amino acids.
Yeah, you can read about it as much as you want. You cannot prove it. You cannot observe it. It's not factual. It's not knowledge. Again, at the very, very best, you could call it a hypothesis, but you can't really. And even then, you're just talking about a hypothesis of what it may be, but then you're still not getting that in the supplement. You still cannot prove what it is. It's like reading from the Bible. This doesn't prove anything.
Glycine, arginine, and...
Okay, but again, you have these chemical structures. You cannot have a chemical structure for something which has never been observed. So he has chemical structures here for glycine, amino acids. Okay, where are they? Where is the chemical structure of glycine? The chemical structure of glycine is made up. You cannot observe it. You cannot see it anywhere. So for somebody who's brainwashed and manipulated, they look at this and think, oh yeah, oh, Paul knows what he's talking about. For somebody who gets it, okay, Paul has no idea what he's talking about. He reads stuff. What was he, a chiropractor or something? Some kind of a doctor. He was kind of brainwashed by the medical industry. That's okay. We all have been through that. And now he just blindly believes this. And then some people look at it, oh, it has this chemical structure. Oh, he knows what he's talking about. In reality, he has no idea. The chemical structure has been made up. It cannot be observed.
Creatine also has benefits from a cardiovascular perspective. So...
Yeah, but that's funny. He talks about cardiovascular health while stressing himself and reducing his lifespan, increasing his blood pressure, heartbeats because of the stress. You can see how stressed he is, how badly he's destroying the collagen in his face. That's what cortisol does. That's what stress does. And you can see that can actually be observed.
If your body makes more energy, you are a healthier, more vital human. And that leads to more fun in life. And of course it has benefits in terms...
And then he is there with his guy friends jumping into a pool. Whatever.
In terms of all of these different disease processes. Everything, essentially. But what about safety? We'll talk about that one in a second. I gotta finish this farmer's carry.
Yeah, but you don't have to finish it. There's no need for it. You don't have to do it in the first place, man. Nobody is forcing you, except for yourself. You're enslaving yourself.
Creatine's pretty darn safe, guys. I mean, people think...
Creatine is not safe. It's been proven to be toxic, literally. Otherwise, it would have no LD50 value.
Creatine is bad for your kidneys? There's no real evidence of that, honestly. Creatine does raise creatinine, which is a marker for kidney...
Okay, let's talk about what I wanted to talk about before, because this video is going nowhere. You cannot talk about the safety of creatine if you don't even understand what you're selling. As I said, 99% of the time, it comes from toxic substances anyway. But even when it doesn't, when it comes from these very tough cuts of meat, which they have trouble selling, the cheapest of all of the cuts, then they put it into these very toxic substances, the worst of the worst. Hexane, for example, look it up yourself. It's important that you do, because then you will really understand what's going on. Then they put it through this device, then through a centrifuge many times, and then they end up with a substance. They cannot prove what it actually is, but they have different devices. They can measure these so-called peaks, and then they end up with similar times signals, and then they assume that it's something similar. That's why they can take something such as petroleum and get creatine out of it. It's something completely else, But as long as the device says that could be something similar to that, what is found in meat, which makes no sense, obviously, then they can sell it to you, seeing as the supplement industry is basically not controlled whatsoever by any actual proper agencies, which there's very little of out there anyway. That's why you can sell just about anything when it comes to supplements. What are you supplementing anyway? In this case, the word supplement doesn't even make any sense. What I'm trying to tell you is that they don't know what they're selling to you. A lot of them do. Most people don't. I don't think that Paul Saladino is doing this on purpose, by the way. I really think that this is pure ignorance from his part. He's been conditioned. That's okay. I'm not trying to attack him or anything. It's just pure ignorance from his side. I'm not saying that he's on purpose selling you some toxic substances, but even if you would want to believe that this process actually somehow works, you do get a substance from meat when you actually use meat, which is less than 1% of the time. You just don't know what it is. But let's just assume that this would somehow in some way actually have some benefit. This unnatural substance, which has also been bleached, that's why it's white, of course, these white powders, still they try to filter out the toxic chemicals afterwards, but they can't, of course, 100%. So even if you want to believe in the substance, which has no chemical structure, which cannot be proven, which is not creatine, but you want to believe that it has a benefit, even then, you still have the toxic chemicals such as hexane that you're consuming, which most likely causes the water retention. And when you have more mass, you will be able to, of course, push more or pull more just because of that.
Don't mix your creatine with pesticides. Don't mix your creatine with pharmaceuticals from the tap. Get a good spring water or get a good filter.
Okay, that's kind of funny because there are pharmaceuticals. The supplement companies are just big pharma companies, in case you didn't know. It's the same people behind them. Again, no matter what you want to believe about the supplement, it's toxic anyway. It has an LD50 value, and these toxic chemicals are used to extract whatever it is that's actually in there anyway. That's a given. So when you take supplements, you're consuming toxins anyway. That's absolutely undeniable. How toxic they are, how bad they are for you, yeah, you can argue about it, but that's kind of irrelevant. Why would you do that in the first place? Consume actual real food, which is not toxic to you. It's a business for Paul Saladino, and I get that. The thing is, though, isn't he a millionaire at this point? He has a house in Costa Rica. What else does he need? At this point, you would think that he could just switch to promoting natural food.
So most of us are used to taking 5 grams of creatine per day. Boom. Looks like that, okay?
And I really do believe that he actually believes that it's creatine. I really do believe that he has never actually looked into it. I think that it's just a blind belief, as it is with most people. And because they may experience some water retention, they believe that it helps them. That's it. Again, just in case you didn't understand what I've been saying throughout this whole video, they get some kind of a substance, usually from petroleum, sometimes from meat. Maybe this is even from meat, what he has there. And then they have absolutely no way, seeing as it's a molecule, to actually tell what it is. They cannot. And then they sell it to you. It's just some kind of a substance which they have no idea about. Paul also has no idea what he's actually selling you there. And you have a lot of toxic chemicals there anyway. No matter how much you try to filter them out, the process of getting the powder is toxic anyway. Paul actually doesn't know what he just put in there in the glass.
Now, 5 grams of creatine is great. It's the amount of creatine you'll find in around 2.2 pounds of meat. You'd have to eat about 1 kilogram of meat per day to get 5 grams of creatine naturally. And incidentally, the form of creatine that occurs naturally in meat is creatine monohydrate. Most people will take creatine monohydrate. It's the most widely studied form of creatine, and it is the most...
You cannot study something which you cannot prove the existence of. How can you study that? Again, he's talking about the same kind of process. But you cannot study something that you cannot observe. Whatever, I'm already kind of done with this video.
Common form of creatine on the market. The lineage creatine is a creatine monohydrate.
Yeah, I think that this is just a business at the end of the day. Do not buy this, guys. Do not buy anything in general with an LD50 value. Do not buy anything that kills rats or any animals. Come on. Really think about it. It's been studied. It is toxic.
If you have GI issues with creatine monohydrate, consider creatine HCl. I'll talk about that a little later in the video.
No, don't consider any of them.
But most of us, creatine monohydrate is totally fine. And I'm a huge fan of our lineage creatine because it's highly tested. It is the purest creatine on the market. Super, super pure, no contaminants.
Yeah, but how can you test it if you cannot prove that it's creatine? Prove to me that it's creatine. Anybody. How? You can't. You cannot do it. It's really bad. It's a really bad video.
And we add a little bit of sea salt to help with the absorption of the creatine.
Yeah, add something even more toxic. Why does a baby spit out salt? Because it's toxic. Why does a baby die from a few grams of salt? Because it's toxic to all animals. Man, even sea animals die from salt. Even animals that live in sea water, if salt gets inside of them, there's actual experiments that have been done, they die. You understand? It's even toxic to animals that live in sea salt. Even they have a special protection system and filtration system to never get salt inside of their bodies. And then this guy, he promotes such good stuff at times, but just such stupid stuff also. He comes along, puts in a white bleach powder full of toxic chemicals, which he calls creatine. He cannot prove to you that it's creatine. And then salt, which kills you also in large doses and in small doses when it comes to babies and children. Horrible, horrible. I think I'm done with this video.
5 grams is what most of us are used to taking. Within a few weeks, 5 grams will saturate your muscles. That'll improve muscle performance. It'll improve lifting strength. It'll improve explosivity, speed.
Just really in case you don't get it, 99% of people who take creatine supplements are not taking creatine 100%. And less than 1% who actually get it from meat take a substance which cannot be proven what it is.
And recovery. That's a great benefit to creatine, but there's more. And there's very interesting research that even more than 5 grams of creatine can be beneficial for humans. So check this out. If you go to 10 grams of creatine per day.
And if you go to a kilogram, you die. If you eat a kilogram of meat, you're fine.
But wait, there's more. Even higher doses of creatine have further benefit. Check this out. This is going to sound like a lot of creatine, guys, but this is wild. 20 grams of creatine per day.
Oh my God, man. And the more of it you use, the more you believe him, the more you're gonna toxify your body, so to speak. The more you're gonna buy it, because you're gonna run out. This is Paul's worst video so far.
There's a beautiful ribeye steak. It's grass-fed, believe it or not. That's gonna be delicious. You need to eat about 1 kilogram, so 2.2 pounds of meat per day to get 5 grams of creatine monohydrate per day. So very few of us.
Firstly, you cannot prove that. Secondly, even if, wouldn't that make you think that you shouldn't be doing that? That you shouldn't mess with nature? If nature would tell you that it's not possible to get so much, that would be the logical conclusion. But no, he says, buy my supplement. That's how you get it. That's how you get something which you cannot prove anyway. Horrible video.
All right, guys. Creatine. Clearly, it's going to kill you. And you don't ever want to take it. No, it's a joke. Obviously, super affordable. Check out our lineage creatine monohydrate, purest creatine on the market. We put a little salt in there for increased absorption. Combine it with a little bit of lineage glyphosate-free organic raw honey because 20 grams of creatine in water doesn't taste very good.
And that doesn't make you think? Those are the toxic chemicals, by the way, from the process of extracting the substance, which cannot even be proven to be creatine in the first place. Oh my God, man. This is the #1 red flag. Tastes bad? Don't consume. Tastes good? Consume, as long as it's natural, obviously. That's not natural anyway. You shouldn't be eating anything that's unnatural. Wow. He has a long way to go. I hope that he will realize what he's doing eventually. He has no need to push this anymore, business-wise.
You guys have figured out. But look, creatine, affordable, super well studied, benefits for mood.
You cannot actually study it, obviously.
Benefits for muscle performance, recovery, explosivity, mental performance, sleep performance, potentially hormonal performance improvements. So many benefits to creatine. Super safe. Doesn't hurt your kidneys as far as we can tell. 5 grams plus.
What is super safe? Something that has a lethal dose is super safe? How? That doesn't make any sense. Super safe would be something that you cannot overdose on, that's not toxic. If you can overdose on something, it's toxic automatically.
10 grams might have benefits over 5. 20 grams might have benefits over 10 in certain situations. I don't see a reason not to be taking it. If you have stomach issues with creatine, try creatine HCl versus creatine monohydrate. And I think that all of us can do better if we include some creatine in our diets, men, women, even probably some kids, although creatine hasn't been studied in kids. But
oh, come on, man. Kids can die from way less. They won't consume that much, but still. That's crossing the line for me. That's really crossing the line, pushing that on children when you have no idea what you're doing. This I really dislike.
The physiology remains the same. I think it makes a lot of sense. So look, if you want to eat 2+ pounds of meat every day, great. I can't do that. Most of us aren't doing that every day. I used to do it, like I said, on carnivore. I don't do it right now. But I think that the benefits of creatine are unmatched, super safe, super affordable. Hopefully this video is beneficial for you guys.
I highly recommend looking into this yourself, because only then you will understand how dangerous it actually is to push supplements in general. Firstly, when you understand where these substances come from, and secondly, when you actually understand the process, because as I said, most of the creatine supplements in this case come from toxic substances anyway. I will link my video called Don't Use Supplements from many years ago. That will give you some information already. But the problem is also that when they go through these devices, techniques, when they use these toxic chemicals, even if you're using meat as a source for the so-called creatine, whatever the substance is that you get out of it, then you're also, of course, gonna be consuming something toxic because of the technique. You could take the grass-fed steak that he had in front of him. It doesn't matter what you use. Even if you want to believe in the substance that comes out of the process, you're still consuming something toxic because it has the LD50 value, and as Paul proved himself, it tastes bad, meaning that your senses are literally telling you not to consume it. That's it. That's really the only proof that you would need. If human beings would be sane today, if they would listen to their common sense, they would taste something and spit it out. And no matter what any study says, what Paul says, those religious beliefs that he was pushing throughout the video, you taste it, boom. Tastes bad. Not good for me. That's it. But that's not the way it works right now, unfortunately. The way it works is that people consume something that they hate the taste of, and then they purely religiously believe that it's good for them. They have no idea what they are consuming, or most of the people who sell supplements have no idea what they are selling to you, how it's even created. And then they say, that's good for you. And that's it. That's what we are dealing with today. And pushing this on children, as I said, is really crossing the line for me. Not that there's an actual difference, obviously, but the difference is that children will suffer much more, much quicker. It's all just human beings in different stages. It's not better or worse to recommend it to children or to adults. It's that it can actually poison the children and be lethal for them. They can actually suffer from the damage much more than adults will, just because of the mass. That's all that I'm talking about. Hopefully he will learn what he's doing one day. Thanks for watching.